Hello, and welcome to The Update, where Grants Pass stays informed, engaged, and moving forward together. I'm Aaron Kubik, your city manager. I'd like to start this podcast off with a thank you to our listeners and to some of the members of the public who actually suggested the topic for this podcast, which is the Owl Plaza. And with me today, I have Wade Elliot, our Assistant Public Works Director, and Bradley Clark, our Community Development Director. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Why don't you just give the listeners just a brief overview of yourselves, just so they know who's talking and what your responsibilities are, and maybe why don't you tell them what your favorite cookie is also?
Well, okay. I'll start. This is Bradley Clark, Community Development Director. You're stumping me with the favorite cookie thing, but
how about your favorite color? What's your favorite color?
Well, I now that I had 2 seconds, so I can do both.
Oh, okay. All right, do it.
Snickerdoodle is going to be the.
It's always a good one.
Yeah, Snickerdoodle, but it's got to be soft.
Oh, I hate the crunchy cookies. They've got to be soft. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then color is an easy one. That's fuchsia.
Fuchsia. That's sort of what you're wearing today, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuchsia.
Yeah. So that's me. Community development. In community development, we have 4 different main divisions. We have parks, building, planning, and economic development. I've been with the city since 2019. Working in the community development field for about 28 years now. This topic today fits with us in large part because placemaking. I mean, that's really from a city planning, urban planning, design standpoint. We talk a lot about placemaking, and that's very much what the Owl Plaza fits into. So.
Excellent.
Good to be here.
Definitely want to talk more about placemaking during this conversation. Wade, welcome.
Thank you. Brad and Aaron, I appreciate the time to come on this podcast. My name is Wade Elliot, and I'm the Assistant Public Works Director, and I typically handle most of the capital construction that goes on within the city. And so that's where this Owl Plaza project falls under my purview. The engineering department is underneath Public Works and as well as me. And so we are generally in charge of delivering projects. A lot of times they're Public Works projects, and we use our water or sewer or transportation dollars to do those. And this is an interesting one because it's funded by the Community Development Department and the Urban Renewal Agency. So in one way of looking at it, we are contracted and our client is community development, and we're delivering this project. And I have to agree with Brad. My favorite cookie is a Snickerdoodle, but if you bend it and it snaps, it's not good anymore. So it's got to be soft.
All right.
And then favorite color is kind of that spring green, specifically like this time of year. If you drive to Roseburg, all those hills, it's like a fake spring green that you see in the crayon box.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, and it always amazes me when I drive through there.
Yeah, I grew up in Roseburg, so I know exactly what color you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Well, so let's talk about placemaking and what ultimately is the goal here for the city. We're talking about the Owl Plaza. You guys want to tell our listeners what are we doing here? What's the ultimate goal?
Well, it's interesting. When I came onto the city, I was looking in some of the planning documents, and the concept of a central gathering place in downtown has gone way back in terms of the visioning documents, comprehensive plans, and some of the other documents. So it's been around for a long time, as I'm sure many other longtime Grants Pass people can speak better than me. But it's a hybrid project. It's not going to be a full-time plaza like you might think of, and when you think of some other places. It was important to the council to have this parking lot that is currently a parking. It's been historically used as a parking lot to still provide primarily that service, but that it could be converted. And so that has been the vision really from the beginning, was how do we take these two important concepts of having a place where people could gather, but also continue to meet that need in downtown to meet parking. I feel like we've hit the mark. I feel like it's going to be a place that does a really good job at doing both. In fact, we've actually added 2 parking spaces from what's currently there today because we're taking out that old fountain that is sitting there in the middle that kind of jets out into
the gold panner fountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which we didn't think about incorporating a gold panner into the design now, but
oh, dang it.
yeah. But so I think in terms of achieving those 2 main objectives, it's had numerous workshops at the city council, and we've gone back and forth. I just definitely want to give a shout out to Jim Love, who has been from the beginning the landscape architect and designer behind the project. Came up with the original design and did a lot of the outreach initially to kind of gather community feedback on what were some of the features they would like to see. So I do want to recognize him. But that's where we're at. I mean, we can talk a lot more about the design piece of it,
Sure.
but in terms of place making, I think it's going to be a space combine not only the plaza but with the 5th Street improvements that are adjacent to it, right at that what planners like to call the 100% corner of a community. Where when you think of a community, you think of that is the corner. It's like Times Square in New York City, and this, I think, in some ways will become that for Grants Pass.
Yeah, and that's right there on for our listeners. It's right there on 5th and H Street.
Yes.
Yep. And G.
And G.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's encompassing that whole little block area between G and H then. That's excellent. So, and that's one of the things that you were talking about, placemaking, and this was something that really the community has slowly just developed, and I think we're helping the community grow from that placemaking perspective because they've been using this area, the Owl parking lot, and this heart of the downtown for quite a while for other events and activities, and it just continues to grow. And it seems like this is going to be an excellent opportunity for our community members and to be able to grow their programs and their extra community events that we have, from car shows to Art Along the Road to whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And of course, Art Along the Road, has sort of showcased how this space can be used. That's where the concerts have been played now for several years during Art Along the Road. We've closed the plaza or the parking lot, put up a stage, and that has sort of become that space. And so now with removing the curbing, going with a curbless space where the blending of the plaza to the sidewalk and the street space, and adding a sail, putting in some new lighting, adding some benches. I mean, when you think of a place where people can be that they will enjoy, that's safe, I think we've already got a little taste of it during Art Along the Road. So this is just going to kind of take it to that next level.
So that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that because you're starting to paint that picture for me and for our listeners. So this plaza area, I'm closing my eyes. I'm picturing the intersection and the parking lot itself. So you mentioned rolled curbs. You mentioned different things like that. Is there going to be more vegetation planting? Is there going to be more pedestrian friendly things? What you mentioned sails. Are you talking like for shade structures and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty sizable, not over the entire parking lot, but it's going to kind of in the corner, if you can imagine the corner of the Alley and 5th at the Owl Plaza, and sort of that, 25% or so of the lot will have these 15 to 16 foot sails, and very geometric and interesting in design and shape. But it'll provide that shade and will really reduce the temperature in particularly the heat of the summer when you're in the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely going to probably feel like one of the newest features of the place. There will be some new trees. Help me out, Wade. I know we've got some benches.
Yeah, I think there's 4 benches and some bike racks that are going in as well to kind of accentuate the area. And also, we've kind of incorporated some different colors and paving features. For example, we're using brick pavers in a lot of areas. Some aren't brick, but they're still pavers. So it's not going to be your typical asphalt black sidewalk, which is going to help with the heat dissipation in the summertime as well. And we also are raising up the street grade, so it's generally going to be the same grade as the actual Owl parking lot. So that pedestrians, the idea is that pedestrians can flow through, one area to the other during events without having a lot of tripping hazards like curbs. Another feature is that we're putting in removable bollards, which we'll be able to install during certain events to keep the area safe from vehicular traffic. And then the pedestrians are going to be able to use both spaces effectively.
Wow. So I'm thinking you're raising the street up a little bit and that kind of thing. From an engineering perspective, is that difficult for stormwater management?
It is. That's a great question, Aaron. On one hand, we have a design storm that we design all of our roadways to, as well as private development. Everybody does. And so we need to make sure that we have the capacity and the grade and the slope to be able to get the rain to be able to run off the area into where it's supposed to be. We're incorporating some pervious pavers. So pavers themselves are pervious by nature because of the seams in between each of the bricks. So the water can soak into the ground. And so we've done some testing to make sure that the area is going to be able to infiltrate, which is the process through which rainwater or surface water soaks into the ground. And then the theory is that eventually it recharges your aquifers. And that's what would naturally be happening in this space before we developed it. So it is a little bit more difficult because the curb and gutter on a typical roadway and the road itself serves as sort of a storage volume from a stormwater perspective during large events. And so with this being flat, we needed to make sure that the stormwater got away from the buildings.
Interesting.
Specifically.
Okay. What about electrical? Are we going to have extra electricity for concerts, or are we going to have extra mood lighting or anything like that, or any new pedestrian lighting associated with this project?
We did add a couple of outlets, yes. So there will be an opportunity for users of the plaza in the future to be able to plug in. And it was a bit of a challenge on this project because there's only so much electricity right in that area.
Yeah.
But I think our electrical engineer figured out a way that we can get that supply. You're not going to probably bring in your top-notch rock bands who want every single aspect of their amplifiers, but it's going to, I think, really meet the needs of Grants Pass well in terms of the electrical. And then kind of related to that is the overhead. There's a kind of a string light between, along Fifth that will add kind of a new pendant.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna have that as well, and then some new historic lights that match the historic lights, the street lights that have already kind of you see along other parts of downtown along H.
That sounds
lights.
really, really cool.
And just to kind of clarify, the pendant light is actually what's going in the string lights. So there will be cables that string between. So Brad's not wrong. There will be cables that string between the lights. However, there isn't like string lights like you would think in your backyard. It's going to be
Right.
a large light fixture pendant that's kind of suspended over the roadway for mood and ambiance.
Okay. That sounds sort of old-fashioned-ish also. Yeah.
Should be.
So that's all exciting. All this lighting and infrastructure that's going in is, and we've talked about Art Along the Road. I can see how it's totally going to benefit that. That sounds great. What about our Christmas tree lighting in the Christmas season? Is that going to affect our Christmas tree at all?
It's not. In terms of the location of the Christmas tree, it's going to be where it has historically been.
Oh, good.
So they'll be able to have that, and that's the overhead lighting will start, at the alley and go to H. So, those trees are over 35 feet tall, so there won't be any conflicts there.
But we are making a couple upgrades. For example, we're putting in a new base. When we say a base, it sounds really cool, like you'd think in your house, but it's actually just a manhole. So it's a storm water manhole that we put the tree into. And then
smart.
yeah.
No purpose.
Right, exactly. And so then crews can put some shims in there to make it stand where it is. It's really deep and heavy, so it helps stand the tree up pretty well. But one of the upgrades we're putting in is we're putting in an electrical outlet in that manhole. which will allow us to be able to plug the tree lights in from there instead of having the cords drug across the road with the kind of anti-trip devices on them, whatever they call those.
Oh my goodness, that's going to be so nice because I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, we went to 10, 9, 8, 7, and oops, I think a cord got unplugged. So
Gotcha, yeah.
that'll be very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So this sounds really exciting. It sounds like it's going to be a great benefit to the community, to those people visiting the downtown core area. Optically, it's going to be great. Operationally, it's going to be wonderful. But are there some pain points with this project? Obviously, we're going to be constructing something here, so there's going to be some uncomfort levels, I think I would associated with some of the business owners and stuff. And can we talk about our how we're dealing with that, and ultimately, when is construction going to start, and is it going to be in phases, and how are we working with the business community to try to lessen that impact if we're actually going to have street closures and stuff? I know that's a lot right there, but
Yeah.
Maybe Brad can start with the outreach, and I'll go into the schedule.
Sounds good. So absolutely, these kinds of capital projects are messy and disturbing and change traffic patterns and pedestrian patterns, and there is no way around it. The hope is that we have enough flexibility, and we're doing as much as we possibly can to listen to the community, listen to the needs of particularly the businesses that are going to be most directly affected by the project. This is the case with any of these significant, more long-term kinds of capital projects. So in terms of your question about what have we done, so the Vitus Construction, who is the contractor that the city has hired to be the general contractor on the project, has in the agreement with the city a traffic management section that's a pretty lengthy piece of what they are responsible for, and it's pretty well outlined. They have to designate a person who is basically a full-time traffic sort of business coordinator, if you will, whose job is to ensure that the businesses are getting their deliveries, that they're getting access to their businesses, to have those ongoing communications. It's difficult to lay out a very specific schedule, say on this particular day you're going to have this happen, because what happens if you get a storm?
Yeah.
What happens if there's something that's discovered in the course of the project that might throw it off a day or two? And so it's important to have some level of flexibility for the contractors so that they can get the job done. So this person that Vitus is having designated to be that coordinator for all things construction and traffic is going to be having those communications. And there's a plan in place. We have reached out, done door-to-door outreach with the businesses in the immediate area. The city's website is going to be an important place to look because we're going to continue to use that as a place for regular updates. Speaking of outreach, there is going to be this coming Tuesday, March 10th at 5:30 in the chambers, a forum for anyone who wants to hear more specifically from the city and from the contractor about it. We're going to have some display boards to show more specifically the intersection closures and how the traffic flow will work, and just be able to have a free-flowing dialogue about what their concerns are. So yes, it's going to be messy. We're asking for patience. We're asking for understanding as we go through this. And B, there's a person designated both here, and of course we at City Hall are always happy to take those questions, and we'll be having frequent communication with the contractor.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds good. It sounds like we have a central point of contact also through Vitus, and that's specific for looking at getting that information out there and hearing the needs of the business community along with the city if they're wanting to reach out to us also.
Yeah.
So what about, we're obviously going to have to close some streets. We're going to have some scheduling. When is all this stuff going to happen? Because I've seen some big signs out there that you see, you know, on the freeway about, hey, road closure coming. So when is this all actually going to start happening?
That's a great question, Aaron. So the work has already started as of now. So they are doing some night work, which was in the contract to do the underground work for the stormwater installation. So they're doing the night work right now, but there are signs up right now and the big message boards that kind of let you know that something's happening. Now, the most impactful part of this is going to be when we need to do the intersections at both 5th and G and 5th and H. So we're raising the intersections. Right now, they are, of course, at street level, and we're going to raise them up to essentially the level that the top of curb and gutter and the sidewalk is there as well.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, about 6 inches, and it'll take some of the crown out, and the crown of the road is kind of what allows the water to run off into the curb and gutter. So most roads have a crown. So it'll take most of the crown out. That did a couple things for us. One, it designates a pedestrian access area. So when you see a raised intersection, these are also going to be concrete, so there will be a visual difference between the roadway and the crosswalk. And it kind of clues you in that you should be looking around for people. And for everybody that's driven down G Street, there's people darting across the road, people using the crosswalks. So it'll be kind of a nice demarcation that this is a pedestrian zone. The other thing that it helped us with is that it helps us with ADA grades. So we needed to upgrade the ADA ramps, which are you'll see them at every intersection where there's a sidewalk. And in the downtown core specifically, it's really hard to make the grades that conform with the new ADA standards when you need to tie in the back of the sidewalk to the buildings. So there's just not a lot of room. The historic buildings were built out close to the street, and then you kind of have a fixed point right there. So let's say that your business has a entry door right near there. To be able to make that all tie together in an ADA compliant way is very difficult. Raising the intersections allows us to have either eliminate the ramps or reduce the impact of them. So those raised pedestrian crossings are going to be made with concrete, and concrete takes approximately 21 days to get a full cure on. And that's where most of the delay is going to happen. So we had a choice, which was either to do half of the road at a time, which was going to really, really lengthen the construction limit. Yep. And so then we would have a little bit of difficulty getting the public to know which way is the one-way direction of traffic that's going to be available at that time.
Because only one lane would have been open.
Yeah. So sometimes it would have been eastbound, sometimes it would have been westbound as they were waiting for the concrete to cure and the work to be done. So we elected to completely close each intersection, and what that does is it cut the length of the project in half. So instead of each intersection taking approximately 50 days, let's say, it'll take half of that because you're doing it all at once. So the first one to get closed is going to be the G Street intersection, and it's going to get closed tentatively on March 20th would be the first day of the closure.
Okay.
So,
and we know that's tentative, but that's our best look right now.
Yep. And it'll be closed from there to approximately April 10th. Now, this is a schedule, and like you said, Aaron, this is subject to change. They will find something that'll delay them, or maybe it'll go really well and they'll be able to go faster. So then after that, they'll open up the G Street completely, and then they'll flip over, and then they'll tackle the H Street intersection, which would be at H and 5th, and tentatively they're looking at the end of April for that, and approximately a 3-week closure for H Street as well. In the meantime, they'll be doing stuff in the alley, as well as the parking lot itself and 5th Street, and they'll be coordinating that whole schedule with how they allow delivery trucks and people to use the alley, and trash trucks, whoever may need to get into that area.
So it sounds like the alleys are going to not be as impacted as much. They're going to be open from the standpoint of being able to deliver services to the merchants downtown.
Yep, for the most part. And like Brad mentioned, the traffic control supervisor will be reaching out on a daily basis to the ones directly impacted. And if they have a delivery coming in at X time, then they'll make sure that they can figure out how to make it happen.
Okay. So overall project cost, what is this going to cost the city? And what funding are we using to construct all of this?
Yeah, so the Urban Renewal Agency Board has approved as part of the URA budget, Plaza development money. So this will be urban renewal money, and there's been a project in the urban renewal plan, since 2016 when the plan was first adopted to do some kind of downtown redevelopment work, and so this is kind of the crux and the core of that particular project that's in the urban renewal plan. So yeah, it's really urban renewal money.
Okay, which is sort of set up to have projects like this happen.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wade, I think we're coming in around that 1.6 million or so.
Brad, you're right on. It is just a little bit over $1.6 million for this project. We always hold a little bit of contingency in-house for things like change orders. It may go over or under, as well as some engineering fees internal. So it'll likely be a little bit more than that. But yeah, right around 1.6 million was the winning bid.
So talking about timing and stuff, you mentioned a number of things in the way it's going to be split up. When are we looking at having this project completed?
Well, right now we have final completion scheduled for June 30th. We are also asking that they have a closure from their work activities around Boatnik and Memorial Day. So we're not going to be done by Memorial Day, but they're going to have everything opened up so that the area is open for that Memorial Day weekend. And then they'll come back in, and if everything goes according to plan, the remainder of the work is things like installing bike racks and benches and kind of more superficial things. But the nuts and the bolts will be all done. I also want to circle back on the concrete curing. Earlier I mentioned 21 days. So I love talking about, all things engineering and roadways, but one of them is concrete. And I've got my family trained that they don't say that it dries anymore. And you hear it all the time, that concrete dries. And if your concrete dries, you got a problem. What concrete actually does is it cures or hydrates. And so the added lime mixture in with the concrete actually uses the water to create a chemical reaction in which it hardens into the material that you see out there. So some of the best curing of concrete is actually underwater, as long as the water is not moving around it, because it gives the concrete ample hydration to hydrate the lime and create the cementitious material. So 21 days is an engineering standard for when it develops its compressive strength. And different mixes of concrete for different purposes have different PSI ratings, pounds per square inch, of compressive force, which it can withstand before breaking. And so some things like sidewalks or maybe the foundation to your deck in your backyard aren't as important to have 4,000 pounds per square inch breaking. But the things that are going to get vehicular traffic on it and loadings from heavy trucks or just casual drivers need to be able to reach their full compressive strength. And so that's where we put the 21-day estimate. Now, we take cylinders, which when the concrete truck shows up, we actually put concrete into a plastic cylinder and we allow it to cure in the same environment typically as the actual concrete in the roadway or wherever you're placing it. And then those cylinders are sent off to a lab where they actually get crushed in a giant hydraulic press that measures how much compressive strength they got before they broke. And so if it happens that the concrete has reached its designed compressive strength early, then we can put traffic on it earlier. If not, then we'll have to wait until it does. One other interesting fact is that concrete never quits hydrating. So some of the oldest concrete in the world, like you'd see maybe that the Romans did or something, early concrete, it is still actually getting harder.
Wow.
Even today. Yeah, it never stops.
Very interesting. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Got a science guy here, too. This is great.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that I didn't ask that I should be asking about the plaza? Anything you'd like to close with?
I think we did a pretty good job at covering it. The community should kind of keep an eye out for the opportunities to utilize the space, because the city is still working through the background policies for the best way to manage that, because like I mentioned, it is still a designated public parking lot. Yeah. And so, we're going to try to find that sweet spot between the amount of time that it's available for parking, the amount of time that, it can be used for other purposes in the community. So we're working on that right now, and then we'll certainly be bringing that forward to the city council, and there'll be more to come on the actual usage of the plaza. But yeah, very exciting project for Grants Pass.
Yeah, sounds like it is.
And then I would just like to add that the area will be intermittently available to pedestrian traffic. So please go down there and support your businesses that are down in the downtown area. The closures will be moving around periodically, but in general, you'll be able to get to, let's say, Dash Bakery or the bike shop. Those are available by foot traffic.
I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with you guys about this. Brad, Wade, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Well, up next, we have Councilor Joel King with us to give us an update on council activities and what's been going on, and give us an update on the last council meeting we had also.
Thank you, Aaron. I think it's very important that we take every opportunity to communicate and be transparent with the public, and this is part of that effort, and it's very worthwhile. So I appreciate the counselors that do that, and yourself and your staff. I was going to state everything we're doing in terms of the 4 pillars of dealing with the unhoused, just so people know what's going on. And those 4 pillars are economic development for generating jobs and those kind of things, social services for providing safety net, accountability for not rewarding those who treat others with disrespect, and rewarding those who do treat others with respect. And then last one being housing, and the housing continuum from tents to really nice houses, and apartments in between, and so forth and so on. So as we look at these things, there's a lot of things that are going on. I think one of the things I'd like to start off with is the tourism roundtable discussion.
Yeah, we had a really good discussion. I was there for that also, and there was a lot of great people involved in that whole process.
Right. It was organized by one of the city committees, the tourism committee. Chamber was actively involved. We had it at the Bear Hotel.
We had a lot of government agencies there, a lot of interested business owners.
We did. We had Forest Service district rangers. We had BLM recreation directors. We had rafting companies. We had, you name it. There were a couple of entities that were missing, like fishing guides and different sectors of the economy, but they're also part of it, and it was part of the discussion. But what they looked at was trying to develop synergistic relationships to bring in money and make livelihoods here in Grants Pass by bringing in money from the outside and improving the quality of our life so that people want to live here. And I think it was very successful in terms of their discussion. They looked at the possibilities, and then each of the entrepreneurs, the last exercise they went through was, well, what can I do to enhance my business? And while I do that, provide increased services for people that want to pay for it, and increase the economic opportunities here in the valley. And it would circulate and bring in more money from the outside that really an economy needs to thrive. Other things going on, let's get back to the city council, egg hunts, Easter egg hunts.
Oh, yes. There's some good news there.
There's a free children's event. It generally is very well attended. Before, it's had up to 500 people attend, and it's planned for Saturday, April 4th this year at Riverside Park. And Park Watch is putting it on, a great organization that is synergistic in trying to help people. And geez, if you have kids, go to the Easter egg hunt and have a good time.
I'm sure there'll be lots of eggs to be found and lots of candy to be found with those eggs.
Yeah. Other things associated with our last council meeting, we had a resolution, consumer dispute resolution process between the City of Grants Pass and Republic Services. And we have franchises. Their purpose is to serve the public good. And so in that dispute, we tried to serve the public good. And the two parties were willing to sit down and talk with each other, perhaps become a little more synergistic in how they interact with each other, and release a lot of energy in the community and solve the conflict. Other things going on? Let me think here. Let me look at my schedule. We annexed the property located on High Glen Loop, and it's going to be a development, housing development. The third leg of looking at solving unsheltered problems, we're not going to solve it, but we're going to help address it. And what's happening down there by Bimart, where they're building a shelter for unsheltered people, and it's on time. It's on the timeline. We're dealing with some issues, construction issues of water, and how to design it and to actually implement the design. But they're on their time schedule, and June 1st.
June 1st is the projected opening date.
My goodness, and that's coming right up.
Yes.
So that's exciting. And again, just like the annexation over there for housing construction, this is part of the continuum of housing that's needed in any community.
Yeah.
And it's a good first step.
And one of the important things about this is it's sort of a partnership that was really sparked by the city and a grant that they provided to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, we're required to provide an inventory of 150 resting spots for the unhoused, and that's what that's going to have as an inventory, which means we're going to be able to look at shutting down our resting sites that we have here, like on, for instance, 6 and A Street. And
I would use the word transitioning, because it won't reduce the number of spaces. It'll just transition them onto this housing continuum.
That's correct. That
hopefully is synergistic for the community.
Yeah.
And provides people the opportunity to contribute to other people.
And that those sites are also going to provide some services to those individuals too.
Correct, to help them be productive.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is the fourth leg of the dealing with the unsheltered issue. So accountability is a big part, that we treat each other with respect all the way up and down the line, and it is not by economic class, it's not by race, it's not by any of those 5 factors that are illegal to discriminate against. It's caring and moving ahead. During daylight hours, there are about 20 cops available, including detectives and the administrative team, to support anything that might happen. And the purpose of the policing is not to punish people, it's to hold people accountable and to enforce the laws that we've all agreed are necessary to run an orderly community. So that's the fourth pillar of dealing with unsheltered is that not only for their own protection, but for the protection of other people as well.
Yeah, we're doing a good job there. Of course, our listeners probably know that council did approve 12 additional FTE, 6 for police and 6 for fire, and we've signed a number of those individuals online from a police perspective, and from a fire perspective, all 6 started February 23rd, and they're in their fire academy right now. So It's all going very well.
One of the struggles, we're going to have a lot of challenges ahead of us. I had a homeowner text me, or actually emailed me the other day. He lives within the city limits, and he couldn't get fire insurance. As we look at what's going on up at Dollar Mountain, motorcyclists and motorized vehicles have been using the bicycle trails up there.
Yeah.
And left unchecked and with not having accountability, they would be a big risk to starting a wildfire right on the edge of the city. We've had several parts of urban areas burned down, Talent, Paradise, California, whatever. So we need to increase that accountability there. The council looked at having some laws.
Yep.
What's the right word?
We modified our code to provide for some additional enforcement activities and teeth
Right.
associated with it, increasing the fines and of having people riding dirt bikes, motorcycles on Dollar Mountain.
What's been happening is the trails are not designed for motorized vehicles, and so they degrade the trails and can make them dangerous for bicycles. Not only when they're up there, but after the damage that has been done when they leave. The other thing I think the public needs to be aware of, there's public use restrictions on fire put on the whole state by the Department of Forestry. And that includes use of motorized vehicles in off-road situations, which Dollar Mountain is. If someone negligently, disrespectfully goes up there when there's a fire closure on OHVs in off-road areas and starts a fire, they are, in accountability, legally liable for all fire suppression costs and damages. And that can ruin their life.
Oh, yeah.
That can be easily $1 million, depending on how big the fire is and what's going on. And people don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And so I hope that people are aware and make good decisions in their own accountability, because we need everybody to care, especially when it comes to wildfire.
So what's going on with the council? Anything coming up that might be of interest to the public? What's our next focus from a council perspective?
We're going to have our budget meetings coming up. Staff actually puts the budget together for the council and the city based upon the strategic plan on how to accomplish this.
Yep.
The strategic plan, and it includes tactical things.
Yep.
And we'll have a council meeting March 16th. Yep.
Our upcoming workshop.
Yeah, there you go. And that will be a good thing to do, and it'll be an interface with council, and then we'll go in May to our budget committee and budget committee meetings and approve the budget that will be balanced and go forth and do good things to implement it. So it'll provide the framework from which we operate.
We're going to be talking a lot of budget policy items, which is going to provide us the guidance to finish the budget so we can prepare it for the budget committee.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. We need that strategic framework.
Yeah.
So tactically we don't violate those things, and that's very good. Yeah. One of the things I would encourage people to do is to become involved and to care. Teddy Roosevelt said, "People don't care what you know if they know you don't care." The thing behind that is the people in Grants Pass care. I look at Park Watch. I look at the people that are Mint down there.
Yeah.
I look at the churches in the community. I look at the city council. There is a desire there to improve our lives and build a sense of community. I look at the Chamber of Commerce. I look at the Tourism Committee. It's a continuum all the way across the line that contributes towards that synergism that we need to continue to build on.
Well, on those great words of wisdom, I'll say thank you very much again, Councilor King, and we look forward to talking with you at the next episode.
Yep. Thank you.
You can find this episode and future ones on the city's website and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We plan to release new episodes twice a month following council meetings. I'm Aaron Kubik. Thank you for being part of the Grants Pass community and listening to The Update, where Grants Pass stays informed, engaged, and moving forward together.